Episode 3 Heresy will focus on the Hive Pantheon, but more interestingly will introduce a new Eldritch force that begins to open pathways and communicate with the player. This could introduce a new enemy we will face beyond in Frontiers, or revive one that's been waiting in silence since Prophecy. Let's discuss. So here's what Bungie had to say about Episode 3. There's going to be an ancient power that is stirring in its halls, Stevens says of the warship, which will shed its skin as it's brought back in Heresy with some big changes while still retaining iconic places players will look for. The events of the episode are going to send shockwaves through the Hive Pantheon. You've seen us doing things with Savathun and Xivu Arath for a while now. The Hive Pantheon has been in this strange place where it's like, well, one of the Hive gods is now taking the light. What does that mean for the future of the Hive? We really want to take this opportunity to stir the pot on what the future of the Hive might be like. This is us, again, saying, how do we have the impact of the final shape with these echoes, with each of these episodes bringing a giant change to the world? We're going to finish some threads off, but we're also going to start opening up some doors to new stories to be told. So Hive stories are always great. Some of the best expansion this game has ever seen has been centered around the Hive. Think back to the Taken King, Witch Queen, so on. The definition of Eldritch is weird and sinister or ghostly. The Dreadnaught is going to return in Heresy, but Bungie also mentions this ancient Eldritch force as they show this image. And this force leads us here, the Dreadnaught. That's the intriguing part. What is this force and why is the Dreadnaught so important? I thought we dealt with all of that years ago, but something new seems to be emerging. From the trailer, we can see that parts of the Dreadnaught and weapons begin to peel away and reveal bony-like structures. As for this concept image, it's hard to tell exactly what's going on here. Is this indoors in the Dreadnaught or in a new location, a desert-type environment? The Heresy art does show us the Hive swords that appear to be the same in this location. To me, it looks like the Guardian is interacting with some type of portal near this monolith. Is it a portal they can go through? Are they receiving a message through it? I'm not sure. Akka, my god, worm of secrets. I am Arix, sole king of the Hive. I have come to receive a secret. I want the secret power of the deep, which you hold. I give no secrets, said Akka, whose voice was code. No, said Arix. You give nothing. Giving is for the sky. You worship the deep, which asks that we take what we need. Akka said nothing, because if it denied this truth, the truth might become false. But you give us your larva, the worm, said Arix. And that is why the worm devours us now, because it was given, not taken. So I must take what I need from you, although you are my god. Said Akka, you have not the strength. But this was a lie. Arix had killed Savathun, his sibling, and Xivu Arath, his sibling, and he had the sword logic of killing them. Arix, the first navigator, set upon his god with his sword and his words, and cut Akka to pieces, and took from those pieces the secret of calling upon the deep. He wrote this secret in a set of tablets, which he called the Tablets of Ruin, and he wore them about his waist. Then Arix said, now I may speak to the deep, the beautiful final shape. I will be king of shapes. I will learn all the secrets of our destiny. So from that card, we see that the Dreadnaught is made partially from the slain corpse of the worm god Akka. Oryx killed it, took this power to speak with the deep, and came back with the power to take. As far as we know in regards to the worm gods, some of them still remain. We've encountered various ones before, like the worm mother Zeta, Zol, but there are three of importance that still exist, Ir, and Yol. The current alive worm gods, we know others can talk to us through death and so on, but these ones likely still exist. Last we heard, Eir told Oryx to get his armies in line when Crota opened the portal that let the Vex into the Ascendant Realm long ago. Then you have Yol, who was going to consume the other worm god Zol to gain its power, but Zol fled and eventually ended up on Mars. That leaves or Ur the Everhunger, the most interesting remaining one in my opinion. Yol was on Savathun's side when she was looking for new ways to feed her worm back around Forsaken. In the Brood Queen strike, the Brood Queen used the power of Ur to create a shade of herself. So these worm gods still exist and some have impacted the universe relatively recently. We also know as a species there's more beyond them. Asa is a proto-worm, what the worm gods were before the Witness got a hold of them. And back in Season of the Witch, Eris calls out the names of others we've never heard.
Eris, your ritual called on the Hive worm gods, and there were some I didn't recognize.
Not all are Hive. Cell, Aura, Blaze. They were Asa's sisters, dead or lost. She whispered their names to me, and I invoked them alongside the worm gods, both slain and living.
I see. Asa is one of our greatest allies. I just hope she finds time to rest.
The worm gods extract their sustenance from between what is and what might be, between the actual and the possible. When the Hive made their ill-fated pact with these worms, they gained immortality and the power to make of the world as they willed. Few beings in this universe derive their power this way. The Queen of the Reef believes it is the same method as the Ahamkara. I invoked the worms, and she answered.
And did you know that this would happen?
It was possible, as all things are possible with this kind of power. This bond has not been attempted since the worm gods made their bargain with Witness. Asa may have rejected it then, but the desire to overpower the universe with one's will is woven into her being.
In the trailer for the episodes for Revenant, the second episode, it did depict the Elixni fighting worm gods. So if that is in the actual release and not a flashback, maybe it continues in Heresy. Would Eldritch be considered worm god though? Not sure, but they still exist. The Aphelion are and have always been a crazy enemy in the lore. They are described as extremely dangerous and stealthy, responsible for numerous awoken deaths, including those of the RSS Amistris and 3 Techians. Seer Ido, the former Queen's Wrath, is the only known person to have survived an encounter with them. So imagine some type of mission to bring her back so we can learn about how to take on this new force if it was them. The Aphelion were described as glowing and highly radioactive. There's an Aphelion's Rest lost sector in the Dreaming City, although we don't know exactly how this connects to them. Is this one of their graves or something else? The lore also said they had the power to devastate entire worlds instantly. Beyond that, these may be the same creatures the Drifter encountered on an icy world, creatures that suppressed he and his crew's light and were found in alien monoliths and cages. Callus and some of the Cabal have also encountered the Aphelion or had stories about them. The 9 fit this Eldritch mold perfectly, but will Bungie finally bring them back? In the overall picture, they've experimented with light and dark, Ahamkara magic to create physical emissaries like Orin and Zur. Some among them have tried to create physical bodies instead of just being these dark matter entities that drifted here thanks to the gravity of our planetary bodies. They had many horrifying experiments like the ones aboard the derelict space station, the Cocytus. Is this the force bubbling up to the surface, the 9?
Anything else I can do for you?
You're already doing it. Keep playing the game.
If it is Hive-related and not the worm gods, could it be the last remaining krill? The Hive species before the Hive? A character called Teox was a teacher of the three sisters who would eventually turn on her species because of the power the sisters gained, and her belief that the Osmium King could no longer rule in his old age. Teox took refuge with many alien civilizations and even gave them intel about the new Hive. That was until Oryx came along and wiped out the entire Ecumene. So in the grand scheme of things, she escaped several times, drifted in cryosleep aboard ships, and went to various star systems. That's the last we heard, I believe, from the Books of Sorrow. So is this ancient krill creature still alive and the one contacting us through these portals? Crazy theories, but would be kinda cool. It could be an entirely new force, which personally I'd like to see, but now let's throw out a crazy theory. We know that the Winnower has talked to us as of late. It is a separate entity above the Witness, above in the way it exists, sort of as a force of ideals. Ido told us how it doesn't take the malicious approach that the Witness did. It would just rather sit back and wait things out until it all falls into place. Survival of the fittest. So while I heavily doubt this would happen at all, especially after the Light and Darkness saga, the being does still speak to us and hints that it might continue to speak in the future at some point. Let's chat, shall we? One more nice sit down for the books. Did you think you wouldn't hear from me again after all this? You'd have missed me, I hope, and I would certainly have missed you. Have no fear, I'm not so easy to be rid of. Now, let me show you, my beloved. Oh, no. Not my sedimentary necrolite fossilized in time. You've seen that. I speak of that dear and distant expanse of the universe, miraculous in its fullness and its emptiness all at once. Are you surprised to hear of it? Yes, I never much cared for the change of rules, but here we are, and there's no use in crying over spilled radiolaria. Besides, at the heart of it all, there was a gift to me. That gift is the chance to speak with you and a billion like you. I am making this offer over and over again, in every tiniest cell and the vastest of civilizations. Let me in, take what you need, be at ease. You have no say in the degradation of your telomeres, but in all the interim, the whole world is your sweet silicate shellfish. You exist because you have been more suited to it than all the others. Steal what you require from another rather than spend the hours to build it yourself. Break foolish rules. Why would you love regulation? It serves you to cross lines, and if others needed rules to protect them, then they were not after all worthy of that existence. Caricatures of villainy are out of style, I hear. Yes, I am no cackling mastermind. I am serious when I say this. It was not the trick of standing upright that lifted you from the dust. It was the mastery of fire, the cooking of cold corpse meat. That is not any unique faction's province, neither good nor evil. It is simply truth. This great beloved cosmos, always decaying, always finding the same old lovely pattern despite every candle flame burning amid the flowers. A billion electrons taking the path of least resistance. In darkness or in light, someone is always making my choice. Be seeing you. It's worth noting that we don't know the intentions of this force either. Maybe it's friendly, or like the Traveler and it wants to guide by opening doors and portals for us but is having a hard time communicating. But to me though, if it involves the Dreadnaught and creatures like the evil Hive, it does seem much more sinister in nature.
In Heresy, there's this new Eldritch force that's bubbling up to the surface that is opening new doors, creating powerful mysteries, and ultimately they'd lead us back to the Dreadnaught.
We're going back to the Dreadnaught. It's awesome. Some fans might think we've forgotten about the Dreadnaught completely, but we're going to give it a whole new purpose.
We want this to be an Eldritch inscrutable fortress of secrets.
the peeling that you'll see on the Dreadnaught, the weapons themselves are peeling back to reveal a new, spooky, bony front.
Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think this new Eldritch force is, and why is it connected to Oryx's Dreadnaught? If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.